It was private assembly which liberated Latin America not more than 100 years ago. It was private assembly that resulted in the gradual rise of the rights of people throughout Europe 150, 200 years ago. It was private assembly that strongly advanced the cause of our own Revolutionary War. It was private assembly that created the Republic of China in 1912. It was private assembly that advanced the freedom of most of the Far Eastern nations that finally achieved constitutional government. This secret assembly must therefore continue, inasmuch as the need for it also continues. In our particular modern situation, we realize that there are large areas of the world today in which the ethical, spiritual, and moral needs of mankind are relatively ignored, where attitudes and processes are forced upon persons whose natures do not conform with such pressures. There has been a considerable enslaving of intellectuals. There has been a powerful trend against the rights of the individual to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we may say that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, these words, this statement, was once the secret statement of a secret society. This statement moved Europe nearly 200 years ago and brought about the tremendous change which was a powerful social advance for mankind. We know, therefore, that today, behind barriers, wherever tyranny exists, there is a constant and desperate determination to resist. That these resistant movements arose in World War II in the form of the famous underground movements. These movements certainly were not religious, primarily, although the concept of religion moved with them. They were not essentially philosophical, yet they demanded obligations, and they tried and tested those who sought to join them. And these testings and trials were for the same purposes as ancient rites, namely to prove that the candidate could be entrusted with responsibility of knowledge, knowledge which, if misused, might destroy the other members of a fraternity. During most of the 19th century, secret societies that had brought peoples to various degrees of security had moved and created from themselves leaders, for most leadership was backed by some pressure. Had it not been so backed, it could not have moved forward against an entrenched tyranny. These leaders were individuals apparently, but had they not received help of some kind, usually secret help, they would not have been able to survive to achieve the reformations which they accomplished. But during the 19th century, most of this pressure let down. It looked as though the world was moving forward inevitably and magnificently toward a better state of things. It is true that there were wars, there were troubles in those days, but these troubles were comparatively isolated, one arising here, one arising there. And most of these troublous situations were envisioned as means of accomplishing a further advancement of man by removing some obstacle to that advancement, or by binding divided and discordant groups into some larger and more comprehensive pattern. The general trend, therefore, was for the secret society to move into fields essentially less vital than that of an earlier date, We find them, therefore, strongly advancing on the levels of trade unions and guilds.